ISFP Fi loop, what it means and how to break free. For introverted personality types, going into their loop is when they turn inward to their introverted functions. This isn't always a bad thing, and sometimes it occurs under stress as a means of helping the person navigate whatever challenges they are facing. At first, it can cause them to turn towards parts of themselves they normally would not, applying pressure to a function that isn't as natural for them. It can help the individual figure out some things they are struggling with, but if this goes on for too long, it can certainly become unhealthy for them. When they get stuck in this loop for long periods of time, they definitely need a means of breaking free before it applies too much stress to their weaker functions and leaves them feeling emotionally exhausted. When the ISFP is stuck in their loop, they become focused on their introverted functions and neglect their extrovert functions entirely. The ISFP utilizes their introverted feeling, Phi, and introverted intuition, Ni, when they are in their loop. Ordinarily, the ISFP would be drawn to their auxiliary function, which is their extrovert sensing, and this is important in helping them make choices and respond to the world around them. Without their normal combination of functions, the ISFP behaves much differently than they usually would. This can actually cause the ISFP to seem like the total opposite of who they normally are since they lose sight of the present moment. ISFPs typically rely on their extrovert sensing, say. Ordinarily, ISFPs rely heavily on their dominant and auxiliary functions, making them both rather important to how they behave and respond to the world. While their dominant introverted feeling is important and is how the ISFP processes their beliefs, the ISFP's secondary function is still very important to how they behave. Their extrovert sensing helps the ISFP to experience the present moment instead of causing them to get caught up in the past or even the future. While ISFPs care about the future, they prefer to focus on the here and now. They are willing to take risks in order to do what they believe is right and care about responding to the world around them. ISFPs are often drawn to the physical world and are very connected to what their senses can absorb. They don't want to allow doubts about the future to hold them back. Instead, they want to be able to experience what feels right in the present. ISFPs are very connected to their emotions and their sense of inner morals, striving to always follow what they believe is the right thing to do. They care about connecting with people and want to be able to be supportive and caring of their feelings. For ISFPs, living in the present and enjoying what excites them and sparks their passion is truly an important part of who they are. Sometimes they can be viewed as a bit reckless, but they know the choices they are making and aren't afraid of having to deal with what happens later on. They would rather focus on living in the moment, and this can make the ISFP rather spontaneous at times. This is often what causes the ISFP to be drawn to artistic expression as a means of physically manifesting those inner emotions in ways they can share with others. The Phi and I loop in ISFPs. For the ISFP, their loop definitely causes them to behave much differently than normal. Instead of being focused on the present, the ISFP can obsess over future outcomes. They find themselves constantly trying to analyze a situation and figure out what is going to happen down the line. This becomes highly connected to their inner emotions, causing the ISFP to appear somewhat emotional and anxious about their choices. They can struggle to really make any decisions or take action since they are constantly trying to figure out what the best path is for them. The ISFP is looking toward the future and wants to know how things are going to end up. They become worried that they are going to make mistakes and feel like things are just going to go wrong. Their minds become wrapped up in this, constantly worried about the long-term implications of their actions. They found themselves wallowing in self-doubt and their inner emotions, not knowing how to really move forward. The ISFP might get feelings about what will happen, trying to connect to their intuition in order to predict the future. ISFPs in this loop become more reclusive, unsure of how to respond to those around them or connect with the outside world. They become afraid that their choices won't end up how they want, and so they continue to try and analyze and understand their feelings and actions. How to break free. For the ISFP, the only way to really break free from this loop is to focus on their extrovert functions. The best function to focus on is their extrovert sensing, which helps them connect with the present moment. Forcing themselves to get outside and explore nature can be helpful for the ISFP, and just getting out with friends who share a desire to explore new things. Trying something new, even if they are nervous, can help the ISFP reconnect with this part of themselves. They need to explore the physical, whether this be enjoying the sights or allowing themselves to indulge in good food. Anything that draws the ISFP to their physical selves will help them break free from this loop. They need to forget about the future and any repercussions of their actions. Instead, they need to focus on the present moment.